the scenes of
how you can sell more,
save time,
reduce the cost of your leads,
and produce predictable results every single day.
Let's get it on.
Woo! Well, hello there, Mr. Craig. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. It's been a very interesting morning.
It has. It has, to say the least. But we're here to talk about what?
Oh, we're here talking about telemarketer, telefunnel, telemarketing, teledudes.
That's
and
right.
Pieces of that.
And we've been talking a lot of pieces. We've been putting together a lot of pieces. We've been talking a lot about that team. And I was thinking about that since the last time that we talked. I'm digging the team thing. It's incredible. When you do have that team aspect and everybody helping out, it's a game changer.
Yeah.
Instead of just having the eyes.
Oh yeah.
There's no eye team. Right?
No, there isn't. I think we brought that up before.
Yeah.
Something that's really powerful about it too, that I don't think it's brought up enough is that empowerment, right? We as agency owners, or at least it's been my experience, I've tried to control too much. And when you're over here trying to control everything, this stuff doesn't happen. There's no way that you can control everything on a day-to-day basis. So part of what we were talking about last time, which was, the telemarketers sending the transfer over and then holding the producer accountable for getting that quote, is huge, because now you're empowering the tele team to hold them accountable. Your producers want to make sure they get the quotes so they don't get bugged all day, right? So they're on their toes. They're working harder to get the quote because they know that there's a little system of checks and balances, just like at the highest of levels in our government.
That's true. That is very true, Mr. Craig.
Yeah.
And it makes it easy on us. Like, when we're diagnosing, like, let's say the telemarketer, we know, if there's low dials, you know that, hey, that person's probably, why are they getting low dials? What is their talk time like, right?
Yeah.
What kind of what other challenges? Low contacts might be a data issue.
Yeah.
It might be a phone number issue. We're seeing a lot of that these days. They might need to change out a phone number, or add them to the three main number networks. And if you add your phone number to the top three, they'll register you, make sure you're not on that spam list, right?
Yep. That's 100%, because you're a legitimate business. And if you're calling leads, you're fine.
Yep.
You're fine.
So it's like we got to diagnose these things. And the only way to do that is with some sort of system and accountability thing, so that we can save time. So we can just see these numbers and be able to diagnose it instead of, going into the weeds.
Yeah.
Like we do sometimes.
Yeah. Well, it comes back to that awareness. If it's okay, it's going to happen. You're going to dive down in those weeds here and there, maybe be a single manager, but you want to be able to catch yourself, realize it, and then, get back in the sky and soar like an eagle, baby.
That's right. So let's get a little into that. Let's get a little into those. We just started to a little bit, but what are some tips and tricks that we're looking for on the telemarketer side that can attribute to not great results, right? So if you're not getting great results from telemarketers and your agents on the telemarketing side, what are we looking for?
Well, you want to make sure that everybody's heard the saying garbage in, garbage out.
Right.
Or most people have. But we want to make sure we're putting good gas in that car, right? And the gas is the leads. You can go cheap on leads and buy raw data over at a couple of different vendors, but you're going to get what you paid for. And this is another thing about that is the longer, or the worse the data, the longer the tail, right? The longer that pipeline is going to be, because it's going to require more time to get to contacts. So I would argue you're paying for time. You're buying down time with more quality leads that have higher contacts. So that's number one in a long a long explanation. I think the first thing is data. You got to make sure that your lists are good, right? Whether they're lists, whether
What
they're real
makes
time.
a lead good then?
Oh,
Like,
I'll tell
what's
you.
the number one thing that you're looking at that can tell you whether or not you're buying good data?
It's contact all day long. That's it.
Okay.
People talk about
the
intent,
contact,
right? Intent. If you have a human on the phone and you have their information, then you better try to convince them to get a quote. That's it.
right? It's kind of like if you have low contacts, but a lot of intent, or high contacts, incredibly higher, and low intent. I would say that you're going to net a better result from the people with lower intent, right?
Oh, all day long, because it's still a numbers game. You're still gonna if you make X number of contacts, you're gonna quote a certain number of people. Let's look at that, right? If
Yep.
you bought the best list in the world, or you bought the best leads in the world, everybody wants a quote. Everybody is just excited to get a quote. Well, if that's a smaller list, you're still closing at 15% or 20% or whatever your number is. That's not going to change. You're still going to have the same closing rate. So until you find the magic leads that have 100% closing, then it doesn't matter. It's all impacted on the front end of your funnel by the number of dials and the number of contacts.
Unless you're independent and you're closing 50 to 70%.
Or 100%.
That's another story. But it's true. And what we're seeing is so there's different levels of leads, right? But what we're seeing, and we'll get into those lead metrics later, but what we're seeing is that if you're buying leads from a really poor source, like just say public data, people throw in leads. They'll buy these cheap leads, they'll keep them for 5 years, and they keep throwing them to their agents to sell. But I mean, if you're really looking at the data, I mean, we've seen leads performing at like a 1% contact. That means whoever you're giving these leads to, they're going to contact 1 out of 100 people. I don't care if who you're giving those to. That is not a good use of time because it's guaranteed an hour or over an hour and a half to talk to one person. Then out of that one person you talk to, you have to knock it out of the park. Otherwise, from what we've seen, it usually takes like 5 to 10 to get someone
sometimes 10
over
to 20
to an agent.
Right? It just depends.
So it's like if you're at a 1%, you're never going to get anything. Or definitely you got to be realistic about the results.
15 times longer.
That contact. Yep. That contact is the most important thing to look at.
As long as they make it.
Bottom line. Yep. What are some other important things to look at? So if we're really on that contact rate and we know, hey, a lot of people ask, Craig, what is a good and bad contact rate? I'm sure that's a question.
I've heard it.
It's coming up.
Yeah. I like to see that 15% in the first day. And I think that you're doing fine. You know, it can drop. It's not an exact science, and it's not always going to be 15%. Sometimes it might be 25%. During COVID, it was 25%, 30%. But if you're seeing 7, 6, 5 consistently, then there's a problem, right? Is it disconnected numbers? And that's what you want to, that's why it's great to get the feedback from the tele team and to keep them close, they're part of your team because it's valuable to get that information back, right? Because you're going to try stuff. And then when you find that one that works, what do you do, Mr. Jason?
You pour gas on the fire, my friend.
Arson time. Light it up.
Light it up. Light it up.
What else?
Well, I think that's awesome. I think the key takeaway from today is that you have to pay attention to that contact rate. And the more I'm thinking about it, honestly, I mean, we'll get into more things to look at on the next one. But I think that the key takeaway is that contact rate is everything. So if you want to know if you have good or bad leads, pay attention to that contact rate. Start talking to some agents in your area. What kind of contact rates are you getting? You know what I mean? Those who ask the better questions are the ones that get the better answers. So if you're asking people these questions and you're finding out, like, if Sam says, oh yeah, these leads are good, or these leads are garbage, right? Like, ask them what kind of contact rate they're getting, because then you'll know a little bit more how to compare them to your leads. If they just say, yeah, they're great. Well, how do you compare them to your leads?
Right.
Or what
question.
you're doing? Yeah, wrong question.
Tony Robbins says the power of our questions creates the quality of their response.
It does create
I think it does create it. I don't know. I turned into Elmer Fudd there for a second.
Another a tongue twister, my friend.
It is a tongue twister. Another thing that I think happens a lot is agents will eject early from a lot of things. But in this case, try it for a while. You know, you got to vet these things.
Right.
You know, contact, if, you know, in the first couple weeks, it's 5% every day. All right. You might want to look at something, but especially as you're trying to figure out the cost per sale, right? We'll get into that. Yep. That's a little teaser alert. But as we get into, you know, down,
Mr. Greg.
I know when we get to down the funnel, like the end of the funnel metrics, we're going to be looking at things that we're going to give it some more time. As one of our dear members always says, you got to let them bake.
You got to let them bake in that oven.
Bake
all right. So we're going to be doing a live webinar. And all you have to do is go to live.teledudes, and teledudes is spelled TELEDUDES, and that's .com. live.teledudes.com. Mr. Craig and I want to share some of the stuff that we're learning with the teledudes and a bunch of other stuff. So please, next Tuesday, and let's hang out. Let's get more into this, because it's super valuable.
And if for some reason you don't remember live.teledudes.com, you can text us at 520-214-2219, and we will send you that link.
That's right.
So if you can't remember the link, then remember the phone number.
And if you can't remember anything, just go to teledudes.com.
Or go to Facebook.
If you can't remember any of that, please remember to eat 3 square meals a day.
And if you can, you should work out.
If you can't remember. All right. That's it.
That is it. It was a pleasure.
It was a great.
Look at, we have inverse shirts. My insurance dude shirt is gray. I think they call it heather.
Mine's a dark heather.
Dark heather, light heather.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
That's it. See ya.
Hey, Jason.
Yes, Mr. Craig.
That was another awesome episode, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if people want to get a little bit more action and learn how to write 100,000 in premium off of even the worst internet leads, where could they go?
They can go to live.teledudes.com.
Ooh, that sounds exciting. Are we going to be there?
Yes. It's a weekly call that we're doing right now it's live, and it will show you the process. The entire process is super awesome.
I love it. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Sign up right now, live.teledudes.com.
Live.teledudes.com. That's live.teledudes.com.
Hey, Craig, there's a new community that we are starting that I cannot wait to tell everybody about. It is our live texting community where you and I are going to answer people's questions and give them free content, right?
Are you kidding me? We get to talk to them?
Yeah, which is awesome, but they have to opt in. They have to text us at 520-214-2219. That's 520-214-2219.
Nice.
Craig, are you going to respond to these texts?
I'm going to respond to them for sure. Live.
I'm into it too. It's going to be
Wow.
awesome. And it's going to be our new texting community where we're going to get back to everybody that we can and drop some crazy content, free content, and free the calculator that you just came up with. That's right. The calling calculator, sales material. I mean, everything for insurance agents. This is it. It's the best texting community out there for insurance agents.
Well, what the heck is that number again? I can't remember it.
It's 520-214-2219. That's
Okay.
520-214-2219.
I love it. I'm going to text it right now.
520-214-2219.
All right. I'll see you later, Mr. Jason.
Bye, Mr. Craig.
Wait, do they even listen to this on the radio anymore?
I love it.